Niner faithful. The moment this fan base has been waiting for since January finally arrived on day 10 of San Francisco 49ers training camp, and when it happened, the entire practice facility in Santa Clara paused for just a moment to absorb what it meant. George Kittle returned to full contact padded team period competition today, and the announcement from the medical staff that he has been cleared for unrestricted practice participation removes the last significant uncertainty from the 49ers offensive lineup heading into the 2026 regular season. Mike Evans is here. Ricky Pearsall is healthy and dominant in camp. Brock Purdy is signed long-term and operating at the highest competitive level of his career. Christian McCaffrey is fully healthy and bringing his complete skill set to training camp. And now George Kittle is back. The most complete offensive weapon set Kyle Shanahan has ever had at his disposal is officially assembled and fully operational. The 2026 San Francisco 49ers offense is genuinely and legitimately the most dangerous in the entire National Football League. Let us establish what Kittle's return specifically means, because the numbers that define his importance to this offense deserve real acknowledgement before we get into the training camp competitive evidence. When Kittle is healthy and available, this offense scores at a rate that ranks among the top 3 or 4 units in the entire league. When he is not, the specific dimension of the passing game that he alone provides, the seam-splitting intermediate threat that forces safeties to choose between covering the deep crossers and accounting for what is happening in the boundary routes outside, period where the coverage concept was specifically designed to account for his tendency to work the intermediate area of the field. The defensive back tasked with his coverage played an inside shade technique meant to funnel him toward the boundary and away from the natural crossing route that Kittle's route tree most commonly produces in this specific alignment. Kittle used that inside shade against the coverage, pushed the route outside the defender's leverage position, bent the crossing concept back inside at exactly the moment the defender had committed to the outside funnel, and caught the ball in full stride in the specific gap between the linebackers and the rotating safety that the alignment had attempted to eliminate. The route adjustment was executed with the full speed, full confidence, physical commitment of a player who is genuinely trusting his repaired Achilles to absorb the cutting and redirecting demands of his route tree rather than protecting it. Demonstrated it clearly on day 10. The reaction from Brock Purdy after the completion was the specific moment that multiple reporters at the practice cited as the most emotionally resonant of the entire padded session. Purdy's visible excitement after completing a pass to a fully healthy Kittle for the first time in competitive conditions since the playoff injury reflected something genuine and human about what this specific player represents to this quarterback. Kittle is the security blanket, the reliable answer on third and medium, the red zone weapon, the outlet valve when the outside routes are covered and the protection is breaking down. Having him back, possessing confidence that comes from knowing a specific player you trust completely, is available as a real option on any given play rather than an option you are mentally editing out of your reads because of his unavailability. Purdy's reaction on day 10 reflected exactly that cognitive relief made visible. The Mike Evans and George Kittle pairing in a single team period on day 10 produced what is genuinely one of the more interesting offensive alignment puzzles in professional football right now. When both players are on the field simultaneously in a 2 tight end or standard receiver grouping, opposing defensive coordinators face a specific resource allocation problem that does not have a clean solution. Accounting for Evans on the outside requires a specific type of cornerback physical profile, a tall, physical, contested catch-capable defender who can match Evans' size advantage at the back of the end zone and along the boundary. Accounting for Kittle in the intermediate area requires a different type of defender, a physical safety or a coverage linebacker who can match his speed across the middle of the field. Having both threats on the field at the competition on day 10, where the coverage decisions that fully accounted for Kittle left Evans in favorable one-on-one situations that Purdy attacked, and the decisions that fully accounted for Evans left Kittle working against undersized defenders that he converted into completions. There is no clean answer. That is the definition of a truly elite offensive weapon combination. The Ricky Pearsall observation from day 10 builds on the pattern that every padded practice session has been adding to since the second day of training camp. Pearsall won a specific route versus coverage one-on-one in the competitive team period that was the clearest individual illustration of what Robert Mays' assessment of him as a star-level player actually means in competitive terms. The cornerback coverage on his route was technically correct. The leverage was right. The positioning was right. The timing of the coverage break was right. And Pearsall won anyway, finding the specific adjustable step within his route that the leverage position left available and converting it into the separation window that allowed the catch to be made. That is a star-level play, not because it was spectacular, but because it was correct when the coverage was also correct, which is the specific competitive test that only genuinely elite receivers pass consistently. Nick Bosa's second padded practice continued the trajectory established in the first. He was dominant again in specific one-on-one rush situations, and the specific quality that makes his current level of performance especially encouraging is that his dominance is not limited to a single type of pass rush move. He is winning with speed to the outside. He is winning with his swim move on the inside. He is winning with his bull rush when the tackle's weight is transferred incorrectly, and he is winning with his counter when the tackle's initial alignment attempts to take away his preferred rush angle. Multiple winning moves against well-prepared competition in a single padded practice session reflects the full complement of a pass rusher who is operating at his genuine elite level rather than relying on a primary move that well-prepared offensive tackles can eventually account for. Through repeated film study, Odeyingbo's second padded practice added a specific element to his training camp profile that the first padded session had not yet revealed. He showed genuine pursuit ability in run defense situations where the initial play action had drawn him toward the likely pass rush path before the ball was handed off rather than thrown. The ability to redirect from a pass rush initial movement to a genuine run pursuit path, absorbing the deceptive play design without losing competitive effectiveness as a run defender, is the specific quality that distinguishes interior pass rushers who can be managed in the run game through play-action design from those who cannot be managed regardless of the deceptive element. Odeyingbo showed on day 10 that he belongs in the latter category, which is genuinely significant for a defense that faces multiple competent rushing attacks throughout its regular season schedule. The Fred Warner update from day 10 deserves specific attention because it speaks to the overall competitive health of this entire defense heading into the regular season. Warner was outstanding in the second padded practice in ways that were quietly the most complete individual defensive performance of either padded session to this point. He was making correct pre-snap reads consistently enough that his post-snap decisions were confirmatory rather than reactive, which is the specific processing quality that allows a linebacker in a complex coverage scheme to play at maximum speed rather than at the careful, deliberate pace that reactive processing requires. When Warner is playing at maximum speed, the entire defensive unit plays faster around him because his communication signals reach the cornerbacks and the safeties earlier in the pre-snap sequence, giving them additional processing time for their own individual assignment execution. That chain reaction of processing time improvement, flowing from Warner's individual processing speed to every other player in the defensive structure, is the specific mechanism through which an elite communicating linebacker elevates the performance of an entire defensive unit beyond what the sum of individual talent levels would project. The Connor Colby left guard situation deserves a training camp checkpoint update. Because through 10 days of camp, including 2 padded practices, the picture of this specific position battle is genuinely clearer than the pre-camp depth chart projections suggested it would be at this stage. Colby has been consistently competitive in padded situations, specifically in the combination blocking assignments that the 49ers' inside zone running concepts demand. His improvement from his early non-contact work has been specifically noted in the padded sessions, where the physical engagement of competitive contact has revealed a player who is more technically sound in the physical confrontation than the non-contact drills could fully demonstrate. Kyle Shanahan has spoken in general terms about the left guard competition throughout this camp, and the consistency of his reference to internal competition being productive suggests that Colby is making his case on merit rather than simply holding a default position through the absence of superior competition. The Christian McCaffrey observation from the second padded practice was genuinely the most physically impressive thing that happened on the offensive side of the ball outside of the Kittle return. McCaffrey in padded team period situations is a completely different player from any version of what a non-contact setting can approximate. Because the specific qualities that make him the best offensive player in the NFL, the vision, the burst, the acceleration through the second level, the ability to make defenders miss in space with movements that combine athletic ability and mechanical precision in ways that almost no other player can replicate, all of those qualities are only fully visible when actual tackling attempts are being made against him in genuine competitive conditions. Day 10 gave the first real look at that version of McCaffrey, and everything the camp has been building toward in terms of understanding this offense's complete potential became suddenly and vividly clear in the specific moment when McCaffrey took a handoff in a padded team period and found the running lane that the combination blocking had created. Niner faithful George Kittle is back in full contact practice. Nick Bosa looks fully healthy and genuinely ferocious. Odeyingbo is delivering on his promise in padded competition. And Brock Purdy is operating with the full, healthy weapon set surrounding him for the first time since this team's Super Bowl appearance. This offense is genuinely the most dangerous in the National Football League right now. The defense has the foundational quality to be legitimately top 10 in the NFC. And the competitive evidence from 10 days of training camp, including 2 padded practices, supports every piece of pre-camp optimism that this fan base built throughout the offseason. Drop your biggest reactions in the comments right now. Does George Kittle's return to full contact practice officially push this offense into the conversation as the best in the entire NFL? How many receiving touchdowns does Kittle post in his return season? And after 10 days of camp, what is your honest prediction for where the 49ers finish in the NFC playoff seeding picture at the end of the regular season? Drop everything below, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel because this story is just getting started. Let's go Niners!